Adrianne Lynch with the Lynch team at Real Broker, and today I have Heather Parker with me from the Parker Law Office.
I think there's another issue to consider for people. If you are going to look at the route of only naming beneficiaries on your assets to eliminate the possibility of a probate case, that's fine. But I think you have to think about what are your other goals. If I'm looking to benefit, for instance, my adult children, so I happen to have a young adult child, as we both do. If I happened to name that young adult child as the beneficiary on my assets, that means that if something happens to me, those assets are going to that young adult child as a lump sum. So when you have to look at planning, you have to look at not only am I looking at attempting to avoid a probate case, but what else do I want to achieve? Am I okay with those people who I want to get my assets to get it all at once? You know, my daughter's 21 and she's a super responsible kid, and I know she would do her best, but we're just not equipped typically at that age to manage even more than $5,000 or $10,000. That's a lot of money at that age. And so when you think about values of houses and cars and all these things, that's a lot to get at one time and could potentially open the door for problems or money being used for things we might not have intended. And so the alternative for using a trust allows you to be a little more detailed and specific about what you would like those funds to be used for that person, rather than simply turning it all over with no guidance or rules or restrictions or suggestions as to how that money should be used.
Yeah, I completely agree on that. I think as our younger generation, I don't think, like my parents didn't think about that, until they were older for what they have. But for us, the same, like I wouldn't want my kids, if something happened to me, having a lump sum. I just think even the responsibility of it, the decisions that would be made, that, yeah, you do want long-term, that we live long enough to plan out their ages and how we think it should be done and allow that to carry on for them. So I think that is important, and people forget about that of, well, if I'm not here, you could just figure it out. And that's not always the best decision for people.
No, and I just think our younger generation does not have that education. Our generation didn't have a great education on finances, but I think our current younger generation has even less.
Yeah.
They don't understand how money works. It's not taught in schools. They're left to making sure their parents have explained it to them. And I know, my parents didn't talk about things like that. That was private. We don't talk about money. It's none of your business what I make or what our house costs or all those things. And I think, we miss the fact that when we explain things like that to our kids, that's how they learn. It's not just necessarily about finding out how much, mom and dad's paycheck is, but it's explaining the percentages, and here's maybe what I earn, and then this is how much I have to spend for things. And so giving them an idea of what things cost and working for what you want to achieve, it's something that I think is often missed. And so they're lacking oftentimes that understanding. And so, a lump of money, well, there we go. Now we're going to spend it all. And it's, the concept of needing to save and plan long-term is something we've got to teach them.
Yes, I know. Mine does not appreciate my teaching of it all the time. Until I'm like, let me get out the calculator and we're going to go over what that was going to cost you. And but he was just buying a car and the same thing. Yeah. What he wanted, I'm like, no, at your age, this is how much insurance, this is how much this, like, this is how much you make. I don't think this is wise, but it is, and then he ended up picking a different car. But I was like, this isn't your time yet, but it is. It's educating because we all can get in trouble. So we will have Heather's information below so that you can reach out to her for a consult. And if you have any questions, she's the one to talk with.